It's finally here. The guy who pops up every single bloody video I watch. FEANOR, crafter of the Silmarils. Epic character history. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments down below what you want to see. At 250 subscribers, I will be watching The Hobbit for the first time. Let's do this. And I will be putting on YouTube, obviously. Here we go. I'm excited. Also, I've got a new mic arrangement. Let me know if this is good, if it's too loud, if it's too quiet. Yeah, give me feedback in the comments down below.
Be he foe or friend, be he foul or clean, brood of Morgoth or bright Vala, Elda or Maya or aftercomer, man
Okay.
yet unborn upon Middle-earth. Neither law nor love nor league of swords, dread nor danger, not doom itself, shall defend him from FEANOR and FEANOR's kin.
Okay.
Whoso hideth or hoardeth, or in hand taketh, finding keepeth, or afar casteth a Silmaril. This swear we all, death we will deal him ere day's ending. Woe unto world's end. Our word hear thou, Eru All-Father. To the everlasting darkness doom us if our deed faileth. On the holy mountain hear in witness, and our vow remember, Manwë and Varda.
We're starting it off like this, yeah?
Words would lead to great tragedies for the elves of Middle-earth, brought upon them by their king. Hey everyone, Yoiston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today I bring you all a video that I've wanted to do for a long time. An epic character history on the greatest elf smith in the history of Middle-earth, and perhaps the most influential elf of all time in Tolkien's
Yeah,
works.
that's what everyone tells me.
For more information on this topic, please check out the related articles and videos in the cards and description. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me. Let's begin our tale and explore the history of FEANOR, the crafter of the Silmarils. Our story begins back before the sun and moon, during the years of the trees, in 1169 of that age.
Okay.
FEANOR was born in the Noldoran city of Tirion, in the undying lands of Valinor, and he was the son of the king of the Noldor, Finwë, and his first wife Miriel. However, FEANOR's birth portended a strange and powerful elf, unlike the others that had come before him. For in his birth he drew forth the strength that would have nourished the life of many from his mother, who was consumed in spirit and body from this birth. Miriel would be very weary and would wish for a release, so she went to Lorien in the west, which was the realm of Irmo, Vala.
Damn, that's
And
so
it was there
sad.
she passed from her body, being the first elf to die in Valinor, all because of the strength it took to birth FEANOR.
Wow.
Would always love his son, and the son would return such love to his father. And it was not long in the span of the years of Arda when the skills of FEANOR began to flourish. This elf, who was tall, fair of face, and dark of hair, would be steadfast in his convictions, and few could change his mind by counsel, and none by force of will. A flame burned within him, complementing his name, FEANOR, meaning spirit of fire in a quaint
Hell
Sidon
yeah.
hybrid. And this flame kindled his passions and ambitions, making him most subtle in mind and most skilled in hand.
Already, this guy's story is so cool. Wow. That's such a crazy, like, way to start his life, and, like, basically telling you guys and the readers and whoever that this guy's going to be insanely powerful and influential just from how he was brought into the world. Think about that. That's insanely clever. Insanely clever.
All the Noldor. A symbol for him and his house was the Star of FEANOR. While he was still young for an elf in 1250 of the Years of the Trees, FEANOR improved the work of Rúmil, a different elven lore master, who created the first writing system, and FEANOR thus created Tengwar, which would be a staple of written elven language for years to come.
Okay, so he was insanely clever as well.
The Palantiri, the seeing stones, and FEANORian lamps that emitted a blue light from a flame within a white crystal.
Okay.
He would, before long, set his sights on devising gems, and the first ones he made were white and colorless, but being put under starlight, they would blaze brightly, with blue and silver fires. And there were other crystals.
He loved his jewelry.
And through them, one could see things from very far away, alike to the eyes of the great eagles. FEANOR would still be in his youth when he wedded the elf maiden Nurdinel, who was a gifted sculptor and the daughter of Matan, a great craftsman who wore a fantastic beard. FEANOR and Nerdinel would
And
have
hair.
together 7 sons: Mithros, Meglor, Kilagorm, Garanthier,
Okay, so I've been looking into videos of Mithros. I found a video about all his 7 sons, but I want to find one about Mithros specifically. Unfortunately, I haven't really been able to find one. I found one about Mithros and leading a battle or something along those lines. So we're going to watch that one down the line. But an epic character history about Mithros, unfortunately, I haven't found one. So let me know down below if you guys know about any video regarding that. Because he's an interesting character.
Whose tales are more fully explored in my video about them.
That's what
FEANOR's
we'll be
father,
right.
Finwë, would also remarry to the elf Indis of the Vanyar, and FEANOR would disapprove of this greatly, and would live apart from them and their sons Fingolfin and Finarfin. He would often be busied with crafts, or would be exploring the lands of Valinor, for FEANOR and his sons rarely...
Wait. Fingolfin was Feanor's half-brother? Huh?
Place for long. It is said in the Silmarillion, where most of this information comes from, that had Finwë borne his grief over losing his first wife and FEANOR's mother, and not remarried, FEANOR himself might not have done the evil that was to come in days hence, but rather it might have been averted. However, the world would not have had Fingolfin and Finarfin, and their children and descendants, which would have greatly diminished that fair race in the world.
There's Arendelle, Elrond. Bro, that's crazy. What a crazy family tree. One sec.
The great enemy of the Valar was freed from...
Oh, what a crazy family tree.
FEANOR and his crafters went on building great and wonderful things, but it came to pass that Melkor, the great enemy of the Valar, was freed from imprisonment after many years in 1400. He was brought before the Valar, and he sued for pardon, seeing none other than the elves at the feet of his brother Manwë's throne, and a desire to sunder the love between the elves and the Valar came to Melkor. But Melkor would use subtlety to do this, for it appeared to many that Melkor had indeed repented of his evil, and he was allowed to dwell in Valinor, though others distrusted him still. FEANOR would greatly mistrust Melkor, but the Dark Lord knew this and would use it in his favor. Some years later, when FEANOR was at the height of his crafting abilities, an idea came to him. He would put the light of the 2 trees into 3 stones, and they would be the greatest of his crafts. Perhaps this idea stemmed from seeing the hair of his half-niece Galadriel, whose hair was akin to the light of the 2 trees of Valinor. And although FEANOR requested her hair 3 times, likely to use in some sort of craft, perhaps even the Silmarils themselves, she declined each time. So it was that in 1450, the Silmarils, made of some unknown but near impervious crystalline substance, which contained the light of the 2 trees, Lorelin and Telperion, and were hollowed by Varda so that no mortal flesh, nor hands unclean, nor anything of evil could touch them without being burned, were completed. The fates of Arda, earth, sea, and air were bound to them, as foretold by Mandos. But Melkor lusted for these 3 Silmarils, and he wished to destroy FEANOR, and have the Silmarils for himself. Indeed, Melkor began spreading lies to all of the elves, sowing visions of realms that could be theirs in Middle-earth, and doubts of the intentions of the Valar. FEANOR, who took great pride, love, and even greed and lust in his creations, wore them on his brow at times during great feasts, and at other times he coveted them closely, to where only his sons and father, besides himself, could see them. Melkor then saw this opportunity, and spread lies amongst the elves, so that FEANOR heard whispers that Fingolfin and his sons sought to supplant Finwë and FEANOR with the leave of the Valar, who wanted the Silmarils for themselves. And to Fingolfin and Finarfin lies came saying that FEANOR sought to drive them from their home, for he had great strength and their father Finwë in his hand. So it was that FEANOR made a secret forge where he and his smiths crafted weapons and armor, and Matan, his father-in-law, would rue the day he taught FEANOR the lore of metalwork he had learned from Aule the smith. Even FEANOR's wife would become estranged with her husband. FEANOR began to openly talk of rebellion against the Valar, and of returning to Middle-earth, so that, as he saw it, he might free his...
So, like, for someone so clever... Okay, it's Morgoth, innit? It's Morgoth and his, like, just lies and just completely corrupted him. Damn.
People. In 1490, King Finwë, who knew there was great unrest in Tirion, the city of the Noldor, summoned his lords to a council, and Fingolfin hastened there first, asking his father to restrain FEANOR, who spoke like he was the king. But even as he spoke, Feanor entered the halls of Finwë, seeing his half-brother between him and his father. Feanor then turned against his brother and drew his sword, telling him to leave and to take his rightful place. Fingolfin bowed before his father and left, but Feanor pursued him, putting the point of his sword against his brother's chest, threatening him in front of many elves. Fingolfin once again did not answer and left, seeking his brother Finarfin. And so Feanor revealed the unrest of the Noldor, and the Valar thought that Feanor was the leader of the discontent, and so calling him to appear before them at the gates of Valmar, the city in the heart of Valinor, the Valar judged him, and the lies of Melkor were revealed. Tulkas went forth to find him, but Melkor hid from them and could not be found. Feanor was not guiltless, however, and Mandos laid a doom of punishment upon him, for him to leave the city of Tirion for 12 years, and then peace and redress would be made if others would release him. Fingolfin said he would release his brother, but to this Feanor spoke no words, and turned to leave. He, his sons and followers, and even his father Finwë, who loved him, left Tirion and went north to make a strong place in the hills named Formenos. It was there that Feanor brought gems, weapons, and his silmarils, and the 3 stones of light were shut in a chamber of iron. Fingolfin ruled in Tirion at that time, and Melkor could not be found. The Dark Lord would, however, come suddenly to Formenos, feigning friendship with Feanor, urging him towards his former thought of leaving Valinor, saying that he would aid him. Feanor considered how he might trust Melkor enough to aid him in his flight from Valinor.
Feanor, man, come
Melkor
on.
saw the hesitation and said the silmarils would not be safe in any treasury in the realm of the Valar. He overextended, and Feanor saw this, and his hatred came forth. And so Feanor cursed Melkor and bade him leave his gate. And so Melkor did once more, leaving Valinor to prepare with his fury. And some years went by. Manwë then wished to see the elves reunited in a great feast in 1495, and the evil between the Noldor healed. So he commanded Feanor to come, but none others from Formenos came. And so it was Fingolfin released him, and forgave his brother before the throne of Manwë. And Feanor accepted this, taking his brother's hand and hearing his words. It was in that very hour that Melkor returned with an ally, Ungoliant, and destroyed the 2 trees.
Giant
Melkor went
spider.
on to slay Finwë and steal the silmarils from Formenos, the house of Feanor.
Damn.
After the death of the 2 trees, the Valar would take counsel, and Yavanna asked Feanor for his silmarils, so that the light of the 2 trees could be restored, not knowing that they were being stolen by Melkor. Feanor would say that there are some deeds a person may only accomplish once, and he would never be able to remake those silmarils again, and it would break his heart and slay him if he were to break them, being the first of the Eldar slain in Aman, to which Mandos replied, not the first. Feanor said he would not. If the Valar made him give them up against his will, then Melkor indeed was of the same kindred as them. Word soon came from Formenos, speaking of the death of Finwë and the theft of the silmarils. Feanor, in rage, then cursed Melkor, naming him Morgoth, the black foe of the world.
There it
He
is.
cursed the summons of Manwë that prevented him from saving his father and stopping the theft, for he thought that he could have made a difference.
Feanor, man, like, what an amazing story so far. You could have. Does anyone else get frustrated by this guy? Like, you want to root for him, but my God, did he make some dumb decisions? Let's just carry on. Jesus, it's just, he could have been so good. He could have been so good. Feanor
ran from the council, for his father had been dearer to him than anything else in the world. It is wondered if the deeds of Feanor and the doom of the Noldor would have been different if Feanor had agreed to aid the Valar and give up the silmarils, even though they were stolen. Feanor then went to Tirion and gathered his people. He made a great speech of anger and pride, stirring the Noldor to madness, his words being mostly against Morgoth, but some against the Valar, though much of what he said came from the very lies of Morgoth. He then claimed the kingship of the Noldor. Then Feanor and his sons swore their terrible oath that would haunt them to the end of their days, swearing to reclaim the silmarils from any who withheld them. Fingolfin spoke against Feanor on this matter, but it seems that most of the members of the House of Finwë had differing opinions.
I can't wait to watch the video about him and his sons.
But Finarfin calmed the Noldor. Feanor prevailed in his arguments, and the Noldor made ready to march, but some would not take Feanor as their king and their leader. So Fingolfin would not abandon his people or brother and would march with him. and Finarfin would march with them for a time before turning back and repenting after the kinslaying to come. And many Noldor marched with them, even as Feanor led the van. A messenger then came from Manwë and counseled them against this course, saying the Valar would not aid them if they went on this quest. Feanor, though, was banished. But Feanor rallied his people and then turned to the herald, crying that even if he could not overthrow Morgoth, at least he had the will to face him rather than to sit in idleness.
Okay, that's more like
he
it.
thought in the end he could do more damage to Morgoth than the Valar even knew, and eventually they would follow him. The messenger departed, and the Noldor did as well, going northward. Sometime before the Noldor left, Nurdinel, Feanor's wife, would beg Feanor to leave Amrod and Amros behind, the youngest of the sons of Feanor, or at least one of them. But Feanor said if she would not follow him, she was an untrue wife.
Damn.
Nurdinel indeed refused to follow, heeding the warning of Aule. The rebellion would lead Feanor and all their children to death, which presumably was true even with Maglor. Before long, Feanor and his folk reached the Teleri at Alqualande, and Feanor attempted to convince the Teleri to join him, but they denied him their ships and aid. And so Feanor waited until his host was assembled, and then assailed the Teleri. While the first kinslaying was quite evenly matched for a time, the host, led by Fingon, son of Fingolfin, aided the Feanorians during their confusion, and the boats were won in this terrible atrocity. After this, the hosts of the Noldor, by foot and ship, continued north, and a messenger of
Feanor's a
like
savage
himself spoke the doom of the Noldor for the kinslaying, led by Feanor, saying that the works of the Noldor would come to ruin and many of them would perish in Middle-earth, coming to the halls of Mandos in the end. Feanor held his course and spoke out against the messenger, but Finarfin and many of his people would turn back. Feanor and the rest of the Noldor would take counsel, for the cold grew the further north they went. Some elves repented of the road and named Feanor as the cause of the woes of the Eldar. Feanor knew what was being said about him, and he took counsel with his sons on how to cross the sea. Feanor and his loyal followers then seized all the ships for themselves, for there were not enough to bear all of the hosts at once, and they crossed the sea. And so Feanor and his followers came into Middle-earth, leaving Fingolfin and his host behind. And then when Maethros asked his father if they would send ships back, for he was good friends with Fingon, Feanor declined and burned the ships in Lascar, in northwest Beleriand. Fingolfin and his followers would cross by way of the frozen land of Helcaraxe, for Fingolfin then wished to come to Middle-earth and meet Feanor again. He would not get this chance, however, for soon after the landing of Feanor's host in Beleriand, the elves set up a camp in Mithrin, and that camp would be attacked by the forces of Morgoth and the Dagor-Nuin Gileath, the Battle Under Stars, in 1497. The Noldor were strong, though, and Feanor's people quickly routed Morgoth's armies and sent them into a retreat. But Feanor, in his pride and rage, pursued them towards Angband, getting far ahead of most of his troops. He was then ambushed by Balrogs with very few elves about him, and though he fought with great power and strength and hewed at Gothmog, even after receiving many wounds from the Lord of Balrogs, he was mortally wounded. Feanor's forces reached him and drove off the Balrogs, and he was carried from the battlefield and brought to Ered Wethrin, where in the distance Feanor saw the peaks of the volcanic mountains of Thangorodrim. With great foreknowledge, he knew that no unaided power of the Noldor could ever overthrow them and defeat Morgoth. He cursed the name of Morgoth thrice, and laid the duty upon his sons to fulfill their oath and avenge him, their father. And so Feanor's fiery spirit turned his body to ash, and it was borne away like smoke. The spirit of Feanor would go to the halls of Mandos, never to be reincarnated unless Dagor Daggerath, the final battle of Arda, does occur. Feanor is reincarnated to break the Silmarils for Yavanna, so that she will restore the light of the two trees. But none like Feanor were ever seen again in the history of Middle-earth, he who caused so much grief, yet so much renown to be won for the elves. And so we come to the end of our tale on King Feanor, son of Finwë, crafter of the Silmarils, defier of Morgoth, and the Kinslayer. From the tale of Feanor, we see that though we believe we control our passions, ambitions, and arrogance, such things can truly control us. We must never be the masters of the darkest parts of ourselves, lest they master us. Thank you all so much.
That was my favourite character history vid out of all of them. Wow. Such an amazing, amazing character, man. Oh my god. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. I can see why so many of you guys are like, yo, you've got to watch Feanor's character history. Tolkien's books have to be the most serious and epic discussions about jewelry. In it. Uh, true. Wow. Feanor declined to send the ships back must be the understatement of the year. All that is gold does not glitter. Feanor, hold my beer. Feanor is the most complex character in Tolkien's Legendarium. He was responsible for evil deeds, as the kinslaying, the betrayal of Fingolfin, which eventually doomed the Noldor. Yet he was so brave to kick Melkor off his house and urge the Valar to pursue Morgoth. Instead of sitting in grief and substantially doing nothing. Like, he wasn't an anti-hero, like, he wasn't, but he was that guy you just think eventually he's gonna, like, have that turnaround to good, right? And sort of didn't, but did. I don't know. This guy's a confusing character, man. Wow. Wow. Expect more videos on Feanor, his sons, very, very soon. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and please subscribe to these guys as well. Their videos are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Really, really appreciate you. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Really appreciate your time. Be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 200 subscribers, and comment down below what games you want me to play or what videos you want me to react to. Thanks for being here, and don't forget, I stream daily on twitch.tv/OmarioRpg. Come say hello. Take care.